back to the channel, fellow renegades. It's Ave Dominus Noob back again with more 40k content, and this time we are talking about why the loyalists are never going to get their precious corpse emperor back. But before we get into that, don't forget to like and subscribe. I've got so many video ideas, but by the time I'm done making all of them, the corpse emperor really probably will come back. So maybe you want to be here for that, maybe not. So basically, I'm a big fan of the 40k lore page. Like, I like to go out and read books by myself for sure and listen to them, but they're always dropping a bunch of dope quotables and stuff like that and cool stuff at 40k lore. But I've noticed a pattern. Like, every few months, maybe more often, maybe they're getting removed. Like, people are always wondering, is the corpse emperor coming back? When is the corpse emperor coming back? I hate to say it, but the loyalist fans are almost acting like it's the literal second return of Jesus, which is, I mean, the allegory is there, so let's not pretend that that's not a thing. But anyway, see what I'm talking about. Look at this, look at this. Okay, this is all I did was typed Emperor Return into the 40k lore Reddit, one of the biggest spots for 40k lore in my opinion, if you want to have a good conversation. What will happen if the Emperor returns? 8 years ago. Would the Emperor fully coming back to life? Would the Emperor returning matter? Is the Emperor returning a good or a bad thing? The Emperor's return. Do you think the Emperor's return, if the Emperor actually spoke, would the Emperor return? What would happen if the Emperor returned? Is it possible? Is, will, can. Emperor return to a body. Emperor return, Emperor return, Emperor return, Emperor return, Emperor return, Emperor return, Emperor return. And some of these stretch back all the way to like 8 years ago, before I even knew that 40k was a thing. So this is not a new conversation in the this is not a new conversation in the community, and I think that we really need to have a talk about why this is never happening. So I've made a few points, and I'm not going to talk super long because my last video was stupid long, so we're just going to move along. So prepare to stand in midnight clad, or sit if you're the Emperor. So before we really even talk about why he's not coming back, I think we should address the Terminus Decree. This was a thing that happened in the lore where we were wondering what the hell the Terminus Decree. And me personally, I just read Siege of Terra. I thought Terminus Decree was foe's genetic weapon that would target Primarchs and Space Marines genetically. However, that's been retconned like immediately. So now Terminus Decree was orders to the Grey Knights that if the Emperor were to stand up, you need to sit his ass right back down. Now, there's been a lot of debate in the community about if they're even capable of doing this, because Custodes and Sisters, of course, like Sisters is a hard counter to the Grey Knights. And I know they're still Space Marines, but Custodes is a hard counter to everything else. So like, that's a discussion for another time. But let's just pretend like none of that happened. Or we could use that as our first point. Point number one, Terminus Decree. The Emperor and Malcador foresaw this as a thing that could happen, and they decided they needed a failsafe to get his ass back down. So first off, that's one reason he may never come back, is because Malcador and the Emperor themselves didn't want him to return. Him being this piece, this centerpiece on the center stage of 40k, it might sound like some bullshit, but it kind of seems like it was by design. Malcador had a lot of plans in store for a lot of stuff that maybe they knew was coming. So that's reason number one, Terminus Decree. Reason number two, someone needs to guide the Astronomicon. If the Emperor gets up and starts walking around, okay, well maybe this is not a great one, because let's say he comes back as something not scary and world-ending, which is going to be another point later on. But let's say he just comes back and he's just normal old Emperor, like the day he left. Sure, he'd be able to still control the Astronomicon then, but like, you take that corpse up off the throne, mankind goes back to the Age of Strife overnight, and it's going to be pure chaos. You know how many Xenos and Chaos Space Marines and Demons are going to take advantage of that darkness? Look at what's happening in Nihilus right now. If it weren't for the Lion, it'd be lights out. But, you know, someone's got to do the job, and Magnus isn't going to do it. So you take him up off the throne, possibly going back to the Age of Strife. The next reason is the Webway breach. Once again, if the Emperor gets up off the throne, there's a giant warp rift where the throne is at. That's where the War of the Webway happened. And to be real with you, they managed to close it temporarily from the Emperor's, coming in and helping and then sitting on the throne to keep it closed. But if this guy gets up, and he wasn't able to close it at full power. At full power, he cannot close this warp rift because of the Magnus incident. So like, even if he came back, was the same old Emperor that we knew, like a day didn't pass, he still can't do anything about that. Terra's getting flooded with demons, and that's a bad thing. My next point is going to be a thing that is kind of some weird lore, but it's the Talisman of Seven Hammers. Have you ever heard of it? I believe they talked about it in the End and the Death, and they've talked about it in other books before then. But Vulcan, possessed by the Emperor or something like that, he says he didn't know how to make it, but somehow he got the knowledge to do it. But there's a device on the Golden Throne that its entire purpose is, if the Golden Throne malfunctions or goes down, there is a doomsday device inside there called the Talisman of Seven Hammers, and it will destroy the Milky Way, the solar system, yes. And that is very bad for everybody. There's a lot of people living there. The Mechanicus of Mars, Homeland, Holy Terra, Holy Terra, and Solar Auxiliary. It's just bad. It's just bad. It'll probably create another Chaos God, to be real with you. But yeah, that's another good reason not to do it. Also, let's talk about that thing on the throne. That thing on the throne is dead. It is not on life support. It is dead. And then I'm going to combine this with another point. If you know anything about the Siege of Terra, then you know about the Dark King of Chaos. One of the major plot points in the End and the Death Part 2 and beyond. The more chaos juice that the Emperor drinks, the more he is to create his own chaos gods that will surpass the rest of the chaos gods and destroy reality as we know it, known as the Dark King of Ruin. At first we thought it was going to be Horus, plot twist, spoilers, but in reality it's the Emperor. And him being awake, there's a chance that it could happen again. Chaos is out there, and Chaos gamed him one time before. I mean, they gamed each other, it is what it is. But who suffered? All the inhabitants of the universe. You think bringing the Emperor back again, you think he won't? You think he'll be less susceptible to Chaos as he was before? I don't think so. I think you bring him back, I think you fast track to the Dark King of Ruin. And that's one of the other reasons he's not coming back. And finally, the most obvious reason of them all. The number one reason the Emperor is not coming back is because he's the centerpiece of the setting. Everything that is going on in 40K right now, the current setting, the grim darkness that we get, is based off of that corpse sitting on that throne. And it's been that way since the beginning of 40K. It's probably going to be that way at the end of 40K, unless they create a new franchise called 50K or some shit, 45K, whatever. But the Emperor is the major catalyst to everything that's happening right now. I also have to mention this too before I go. The Emperor is not really a real character. People always talk about him like there's characterization or something like that, but he's just a plot device. If you've read any book that the Emperor is in, like for instance The Master of Mankind, which is the most screen time we get from him, he's just really not in the book like that. Like, he's got a little bit of dialogue as an aspect of himself, the boy who would be king. And then on top of that, go look at like the Siege of Terra. It's vastly more pages, vastly more. And he 100% is not a character in it, trust me. He's just a plot device, so that's another reason you won't see him back. You are removing the major plot device from the setting. And for what? A non-character that's gonna get zero dialogue? We don't really want that. That was the video. Do you think that I'm wrong? Do you think that the Emperor is coming back? Or can you think of any other reasons that he's definitely not coming back? Also, how would you feel about that? Let's say the Emperor comes back tomorrow. Is 40K ruined forever, or is this the breath of fresh air that the franchise actually needed? Because in my opinion, I think it'd be cool to see the apocalypse. Let's see him die. Fuck it. I don't need him back. He's a bad dad anyway. Well, anyway, this is Ave Dominus Noob saying Ave Dominus Nox.